in this video, and I really wish they did more. They did talk about a lot of stuff like that and how we need to use foreclosed homes and give it to homeless people, and we can't have homeless people in the streets anymore, and people are getting sick of it and they're standing up and they're demanding we do these things. But when this all settles down, they'll say get the hell out of here and throw them back on the streets. Then tell them they can't gather here, they can't sleep there. They get harassed, assaulted, raped, all these things. It's terrible. Anyway, so he's talking about all employers should have to pay paid family and sick leave, no exceptions for companies. Why? It doesn't even make sense. So if you have a larger company, 500 employees or more, which most Americans work for, then you have to. Then you don't have to pay paid sick leave. Shouldn't it be the other way around, where the struggling businesses and smaller businesses shouldn't have to pay, and that we take even more money from the CEOs and profiteers to extract all this money from these organizations that other people help run and put their whole lives into and barely get to spend time with their families or enjoy any leisure, while a few people, took our money in the bailouts of 2008 after the financial collapse that they knowingly caused, doing unethical and illegal stuff. And what do? They put stock buybacks, so we need to make sure there's no stock buybacks. And that, again, as they're pushing, these are all important policies. We should guarantee universal income, but not a little, not universal basic income. What the Reverend is saying, and which is totally dead on, is that we need to give people what they need, completely what you need to have good home, good food, be able to take care of your family, and then the rest. You don't understand. This is such a great investment. It's been proven through in so many ways, in so many different societies, and at all different levels of government, that if you give people what they need, they don't sit around. That's the biggest misnomer. It's a lie. Now they have all this leisure time. They could help their neighbors more. They could listen to a friend who's going through some stuff and give them advice. They can go out and cut their neighbor's grass. They can go out and start a business. They can learn how to play guitar. Or they can get better at playing guitar or drums or trumpet or saxophone. They can go study science. They can go to school, which also should be free. But these things build a better society, and so we never face a crisis like the coronavirus or COVID-19 ever again. Don't forget about how many people are dying and suffering all over the world. This is horrible. We need to learn from this, learn from history finally, and enact the right policies to do the right things. That's period. That's it. So, I like how you said you need to guarantee. I want to repeat that. Guarantee universal income, not just UBI or universal basic income. Universal income, a full income for people. All right. We must do this now and forever, right now. It's imperative we do this stuff now. We must put pressure on our politicians and do this. Absolutely right. I agree, Reverend. We need a national moratorium on water and utilities. So important. How are people going to keep their hands clean at work, at home, and not spread the disease and keep spreading the disease and putting people at risk if they don't have clean water or any water? And you say, well, you didn't pay your bill, so we're not going to turn your water on. You didn't pay your heat, so to turn your water on. Well, the heat might help kill the germs. Heat might keep sick people from dying. Air conditioning might help too, when the weather gets warmer before it kills this disease, or hopefully we come up with a cure or some serious suppression. But all these cures and all the vaccines must be free, just like the healthcare. Yeah. So sorry, this is a big video. I took a lot of notes. I'm really working hard here for you guys to give you all the information and discuss, added things that I want to add and things that they didn't talk about to really build this up. So, put public health care experts in charge of the military, like the Reverend was saying, which is very important. He's saying, you're worried about military taking over or having too much power. They shouldn't be in charge. Public health officials should be in charge, and that's absolutely accurate and very important. And make sure we stress that. But we use the mechanism and the people and the ability to keep people safe. We use these military installations to help us, but we have healthcare professionals in power, and we need to have oversight. And the people need to know what's going on, and we need to be able to hold these people accountable if any kind of corruption happens or abuse, or funds disappear, or people do terrible things to people. We need to hold the people accountable. So he's saying that, again, they want you to go on to moveon.org/poverty or moveon.org/poverty, and there's a list of their demands for this Poor People's Campaign to address the coronavirus efficiently and to get us out of all these many, many crises that have been building for a long time. And they're saying, look at the fallout from the healthcare crisis. Look at this. We already had a healthcare crisis. Look at the worst case scenario. And by the way, as climate change increases, as I keep saying, we're going to get more humidity, more pests, more mosquitoes that carry diseases. And the permafrost melts, and we keep melting all the ice and water. Diseases are going to come in the air the likes of which humanity has never seen, because it was before humans even existed. And the scientists aren't going to be able to stop it, and it could kill the whole planet. It could kill the entire human species. Could wipe out all the animals and all the plants as we know it and destroy this beautiful, amazing, super sustainable planet. We just need to stop wasting and consuming. We need to recycle, and we need to be mindful of what we buy and not just have mindless crap. And we all do it. We've all done it. We lived in a capitalist society, and we were told work hard and waste your money and buy all this crap and have all this excess. That's not how to live. Musicians should have their instruments in their studios when it makes sense, and you should share studios and neighborhoods with people and share instruments, and we should come together, help people fix instruments, save people money, and just I'll scratch my back, I'll scratch your back, and hopefully one day you'll scratch my back. I'll scratch your back, maybe one day you'll scratch mine, but even if you don't, I'm glad I can help. And that's the attitude we need to have a truly successful society, a true, free, community-based society that can eventually reduce the role of government, because we help each other out. That's what they don't talk about. And stop charging people money and make sure the government gives us the money and the resources we need to reduce their role and take back a democracy. Not even take back, but actually build a real democracy, true democracy, direct democracy, anarchy, whatever you want to call it. Real democracy, all synonymous. Okay, so the beginning of the pandemic, the fall from the healthcare crisis, you have the economic crisis. It's been a long-standing one. We need the voices of everyone to demand people over profit from those in power, and going forward to make sure, that we build we don't build, we need to not build monopolies like we did in the 1900s, not continue to build these media conglomerates. It's even worse now. They control so much information and our news and media. Companies should not profit off of mass or all the things we're having them make. That's absolutely true. It's very important that we don't allow companies to make profits off of all the goods we need, because they've profited for so long at the behest of most and their own workers and their own countrymen and women. So, and non-binary people. Anyway, it's easy to turn off news and tune out, but we can't do this. People need to call this number again. Call 855-999-1663. Again, that's 855-999-1663. It'll connect you to all of your senators and politicians, and tell them that people before profit. We need health, we need housing, we need economic standing for everybody. We need economic stability for everybody. We need economic infusion to every single person in this country, period. Every adult. Depends on how many kids you have. All of these things. $1,000 a month is a joke. Doesn't even cover a mortgage. $2,000 doesn't even cover a lot of mortgages or rent. So $2,000 a month every American isn't even enough. We need more than Bernie Sanders is calling for. We could start with the Poor People's Campaign, I think, is where we should really, and that's where Bernie Sanders gets a lot of his influence from, because he fought in the civil rights movement, got arrested for it, stood up against racism, systemic racism, inequality, income inequality. He marched in Selma, and he didn't lie about it like Joe Biden. He really was marching with Martin Luther King and the rest of them. Many other activists. I'm sorry, John Lewis, all these people. There's a lot of people involved in the civil rights movement. I'm not going to get into them all now. Bernie Sanders is mimicking Martin Luther King's words, and that's what started with this the Poor People's Campaign was Martin Luther King Jr.'s thing, and Bernie Sanders is a big fan of him, as am I. He's one of my heroes. I've always been saying that for years. So anyway, we need to give extra help to the most vulnerable, put people up for profit. That's what you do when you call that 855-999-1663 number. We need to give extra help to the most vulnerable. We need to the guy, this is really important, even though it's not very political. So I've been an audio engineer and a producer, and I've done a lot of things in my life. I've done a lot of different things. If you can't tell, I got a little energy, and I try to use it for good. Audio engineers, people that record albums and stuff, and mixing engineers, people that mix after it's recorded and make all the different tracks and instruments and sound the best and add effects, and producers who help In some cases, you can play some of the music or direct to the band. Or should you do a solo here? Or how about something like this? Or cut the solo. Or maybe you should switch this part here and here. A lot of those people don't get credit. Producers get the most credit, but sound engineers really get no credit. They should be put on albums. All the assistants, all the interns, they should all be listed on every song, and they're often not. Serge Tankian did it on his from the singer of System of a Down on his solo project, which I thought was really cool, and everybody should follow from that. Anyway. So we give a shout out to the production team for putting the video together, and so do I. Thanks, guys. Guys and gals, whoever, girls, whatever. I don't know who, he didn't specify, but we do appreciate it. So he was talking about how he was this other gentleman who I haven't talked about yet. He was a younger man, not one of the two reverends, not the female or the male reverend, and not the lady from MoveOn.org. I'm sorry, I forget his name. But anyway, the point is that he was on the phone with Chuck Schumer about COVID-19 and saying we need to fight for people with disabilities. But Mitch McConnell, I'm sorry, he said he was on the phone with Chuck Schumer, and that's what Chuck Schumer was saying, we need to fight for people with disabilities. Saying Mitch McConnell said that even if this makes you gag, and it's disgusting, hold your breath and vote for it. And it is disgusting, this thing to say. Saying if this disturbs you, if this makes you gag, you still need to vote for it. This is a crisis. It shouldn't make you gag. These are the things that both parties should already be doing. And more parties should be allowed to be involved, but the DNC and RNC keep them out. They keep changing rules. For people to get on the debate stage, it's a disgrace. They let Bloomberg get in and impact this election. Bernie Sanders beat all of them in Nevada. One of the which actually shows the demographic of this country. And Bernie Sanders is actually winning with black people as a whole, and more than it was creeping and beating Biden. And then all of a sudden, Biden went to conservatives. Southern state, and they say in South Carolina, it's first time ever after running multiple campaigns and failing, for being caught plagiarizing and stealing speeches and lying about it repeatedly, for saying racist, sexist things, for wanting to cut Social Security, for wanting to do a balanced budget amendment. All terrible ideas, anti-economic, anti-common sense, and inhumane. And that's Joe Biden. That's your go, Joe. Yeah, go, Joe. Go home. Get the help you need, It's not really funny. It's not a joke. It's somber, but he can't be the president. Neither can Donald Trump, Bernie Sanders, because nobody else is going to help us do this. They're gonna. We'll get to that in a second. So we're almost done here. Bear with me. I'm gonna try to breeze through this stuff really quick. It's been a long video, but I really hope you've stayed tuned. I really hope you know how important this is. He was saying we need to build infrastructure, bring people food. We need $5 trillion for all. We need to demand our officials do better, pass legislation to help people. It's absolutely true. When we lift from the bottom, everybody wins, like I was talking about before. You give money to the poor people and working class and middle class, and the money goes up and goes all around to the whole society. We have a more equal society as we regulate and stop putting people over profit. Stop putting profit over people, excuse me. He said there's a theologian prayer that related to work, and he said you rattle the cages of God, but then he said you rattle the cages of men. We need to rattle the cages of men, meaning the people in power, the politicians. We have all this time home to use technology and to call politicians who you see. If you see something that's wrong, you don't agree with the rollout or whatever they're doing or whatever they say, call them. You're home. Call them, send an email. If you don't have that infrastructure, that's why more people that can make calls, call a bunch of them. Call over the country. Call every Republican. Call every Democrat. Call everybody and tell them what we need and what the experts say we need and what other countries are doing, like nationalize their healthcare system, giving free treatment to everybody. And when we find a cure or any kind of mitigation, any kind of pills or anything that helps or causes less suffering, that's got to be free. The government needs to invest in all of these things like we should have been doing the whole time. And it ends up in the long run, it saves us a ton of money. Don't cut it from them. Don't cut the social safety nets. All we need is to let them vote against it. And so that's what I'm saying. They're saying don't let the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. Now I think this is all smoke and mirrors, and they just they want Trump to win, and Nancy Pelosi can keep all her media investments, so they don't really they act like she's a goddess and she's the best person ever. The same thing with Chuck Schumer and most of the people in the Senate. They all own a lot of money, and it's public record. Look it up in ABC, NBC, Disney. Or ABC, Disney, excuse me, that's one company, and a bunch of companies mixed. It's disgusting. NBC, CBS, CNN, Fox, they buy large shares in their stock, so they own part of the company, and then those people are supposed to be held accountable by those same people, It's a pay-to-play system. And, the media is more objective when it comes to Trump, but they're terrible when it comes to the DNC. And that needs to change. You need to be objective regardless of who the politician is or if they claim to be pretend progressive. Nancy Pelosi is no progressive. She's a multi-millionaire, hundreds of millions of dollars. It's disgusting. She has done nothing but, when it comes down to it, hurt working class, middle class, and lower class people. The vast majority of us is what I'm talking about. So anyway, he was talking, we're almost done here. Again, the environment, I'm sorry. So they're saying that the Democrats need to put forth the actual bold plans we need, not water them down. And we have this, and we even do this as individuals. It's all been brainwashed into us, and it's put forth into the media. We don't have to water down what we need so people don't go, that's way too much. No, it's not, and you have to explain why. And you have to say, this is what we need, demand this. If they want to all vote against it in a crisis and say people don't need $2,000 or more depending on the circumstances, every individual American get $2,000, a moratorium on evictions, a moratorium on mortgages. This should go well past 60 days. 60 days this is all rather conservative policy, but it just makes the Democrats look like clowns that Trump is outflanking them on the left because they didn't put forth bold plans and make concessions with Republicans, and then the Republicans go back and people are demanding bolder plans. Bernie Sanders has the best plan, and the Poor People's Campaign has an even better plan than Bernie Sanders. Well, at least when it comes to certain specifics, but Bernie Sanders is pretty much, they're very similar, and Bernie Sanders laid it all out, and you got to watch Bernie Sanders' speeches on the coronavirus. I did multiple of them recently. I'm going to do Donald Trump's speech from earlier this morning from 11:30 a.m. till I think it was roughly somewhere around 1:30 p.m. or something. But I'm gonna do the speech. I'm gonna give commentary. I'm gonna be fair when he deserves it, when he's doing the right thing. I'm gonna call him out when he's not. I gotta do all the research and make sure I got all my facts straight. So that's gonna have to after I do some heavy work tomorrow. But let's see. So this in the House, Democrats need to put forth all that we need, not just moderate, and let them vote. And let conservatives, let the Republican Party, let Trump veto it, let them vote against it, expose them for who they are. And if, but a lot of the Democrats, the corporate Democrats, the elites are just, they're almost as bad or just as bad, or in some cases on certain issues worse than Republicans. So, but the point is that we need these things, put forth the policy, let them vote against it. If you claim you want to win so bad, that would work. But no, I think you just want somebody corrupt in power so they don't put any pressure on you, and you could just keep doing all these things that should long have been illegal, like buying into media companies when you're a politician. Like taking campaign contributions from anybody but working class people, or in fact nobody. They shouldn't have to. Struggling people, just so they hopefully, if you don't steal the election blatantly like in 2016 and 2020 in the primaries against Bernie Sanders or an incumbent candidate, an insurgent candidate. Well then, anyway, I digress because I gotta wrap this video up. This is a lengthy video. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you listen to it while you're doing your dishes. While you're. If it's safe, while you're making love with your loved one or something, while you're cuddling, while you're stressed out, while you want to learn more of what you can do, we need to all unite and come together as a community. So the Democrats definitely need to put forth the bills we need and not water them down and make absurd concessions. And then you even had Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer saying it was too much. Kamala Harris, who Joe Biden is floating for a vice presidential candidate, which would be a nightmare. She was prosecutor for California. She fought to keep innocent people in jail. Look into it. She's done way worse than that too, and she's backed down on like every policy she claimed she wanted. She'll say anything for power, just like Joe Biden. Oh, I believe in Medicare for all, and all of a sudden she didn't. That's why she's not in the campaign. She wanted to give $250 to single individuals and $500 a month. $250 to single individuals and $500 a month for couples. The hell good is that? I mean, it's not even enough for anybody's rent, almost anywhere. If it is, it's certainly not enough to pay for food, pay for your kids, to travel, to get gas, to get medicine. I mean, it's unbelievable. We have so many crises, and we just change all this nonsense right now and have a much better society. We should already be living in Jetson times. Jetson times, like the show where they fly around, the houses are up in the sky in domes, and their briefcase turns into a car. We could have done that like 50 or 100 years ago. We have the technology, at least 50 or 70 years ago, and we just don't. Because we take all the money and distribute it to the top 1%, especially, or in top 0.1%. We have massive income inequality, and we're all at risk. So we need to do these things right now. And we should do them all the way into the future, as the Reverend said. Yeah, make calls for the homeless, make extra calls for the vulnerable, write email. This is coming from me. Write email, use Twitter, look up politicians' Twitter handle online, and then go on Twitter and say at whatever, at Pelosi, at local politicians, at state politicians, whether they're governors or state, state senators or state congressmen or women, any of that stuff. Hold them to account. Do it in public. Ask them why they're doing this or that. Ask them why they said we should do this, and then went back on their word and said, no, we can't do that. It's too much. But you just said, when you got elected, that's exactly what we need to do. So you didn't mean it. You're lying. Now that we actually need this stuff, you're against it. That kind of stuff. Tell them what we need. Let's see. Sorry about that. We're almost done here. Hope I'm giving you some ideas, giving you some positive reinforcement. And we're almost done. Got a lot of notes. It's a long video. I wanted to expand upon a lot of it. Reverend Barber said that he has an immune deficiency issue, and that his church, so he's at home, he's self-quarantining, but he's saying that his church delivers food to the homeless people that live behind to homes of people that live behind the church in a neighborhood or housing project or housing configuration, whatever it is, you can specify. They're trying to keep a daycare run by healthcare professionals, but it's really hard because of the 6 feet and social distancing. It's really not easy, and it might be hard to keep doing that. So where are these kids going to go? How are people going to go to work? Even the ones that are safe, although most people aren't safe. And, like in Spain, they shut it all down. They had drones making sure people stay at home so we don't spread the disease. They don't spread the disease. We have to consider a lot of things and be careful, but also be speedy. So anyway, we need to compare what the world's doing and what's the most effective. And we need to make sure our government, there's oversight, so our government can't do whatever they want, the president can't do whatever they want, the Congress can't do whatever they want, and that they meet the demands of the people in every single way, as they're supposed to, because we are the government, not them. They're just supposed to be representatives. Anyway, we must assist, people in a crisis. Historically, people come together in times of crisis, absolutely. People coming up with creative solutions to get rid of homelessness, so have people, in abandoned homes. People are self-quarantining. Homeless people are self-quarantining in abandoned homes and putting up signs saying we're self-quarantining, stay out, so you don't get people sick. You stay in touch, build personal relationships. This is something I was saying. Build relationships online, build communities, support people any way you can that are giving you information, that are giving you commentary, analysis, that are helping other people, get involved in volunteerism, do everything you can. Help everybody you can in every single way in all aspects of the economy except for the very wealthy. They've extracted all our wealth already. That's why we're in these positions. So, so they were talking about battered and bruised people and impoverished people and neglected people, that we must help them and them first, and that that should never have been that way in the first place. Absolutely correct, obviously. Common sense, people living in with raw sewage, with no water, women and men, sometimes more women, but some men get beat too. Trust me. You must organize. They're talking about in Kentucky, the governor is cutting money for investigating battered kids and moms, and saying that the money has to come from those very battered. And this is a thing that's played out in history for many years now. So they're saying you got to call him out. I believe it's him, Kentucky governor. I'm pretty damn sure. It must be shown that not just the Reverend Barber said something very interesting. He said we must be concerned about not just our children, but everyone's children. Not I, we. Not me and I got mine, Jack. Everyone. Not I, we. Not me, us. Not me, us. All right. So we can all, he was talking about what the Bible said, and how our lives are polluted because our politics are polluted. Somebody was saying that in the Bible. It's very true in this instance. I'm personally not a religious person, but I have great respect for the truly religious people that are scared of religious nationalism and believe that religion is about helping people and fighting for rights, like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. believes, and like these people clearly believe, these reverends and these good people and these warriors to fight for us, all of us. Let's see. What the hell? Sorry. Okay, you can say this is very important. He said you can't buy a lie that this came out of nowhere. We must push for a better nation. Everyone's definitely right there. I'm right here. And saying the resources for victims of violence and abuse. They're going to put them on MoveOn.org and also on their Twitter feed, on the MoveOn.org Twitter feed or MoveOn Twitter feed. So if you're somebody who is a victim of violence, abuse in any way, please check that out and get yourself some help. And there's going to be this crisis is creating opportunity, and they're absolutely right. So saying we take foreclosed homes and give them to the homeless people. These foreclosed homes, many owned by Wall Street, including rentals, by big banks and giant corporations, and they just sit there and nobody pays them, and they pay the taxes on them, but they get tax breaks from the government, and then they just sit there empty for years and years and years. What good is that for the homeless person? They're going to be happy as hell. They're going to go to work. They're going to contribute to the neighborhood. They're going to be so happy that you gave them human dignity, which is what they talk about. We need human dignity. We all need human dignity. It's time to demand that in no uncertain terms. And you all know what it means. So let's do it together. So we're talking about, all people need human dignity, right? He was talking about prayer and holding the people in power accountable. Pushing friends to act and fight for what is right, and I've been doing that, pushing family and friends. Push people, challenge them. When they say something silly, just calmly say why that's not true. Let them talk, but then, as long as they're not steamrolling the conversation, say why, it's not just a bunch of lazy people. It's an absurd thing that the people in power want you to think, and it screws you, and it screws all of us. It screws our whole community and puts us all at risk. So there's a lot of inspiration for community. Politicians will say that they're gonna that they're cutting the social safety net. Listen, this is very important. It's happening, and they're trying to do it. That the politicians will say that they need to cut the social safety net, and it claims to help the poor and the vulnerable. It's disaster capitalism, and it's a strange world where Republicans put in $1,000 more than or $1,000 for everybody. It's more than the Democrats, and it could disable us from what we need. In other words, the Democrats are calling out what we need, and the Republicans are coming out to the left of them, and we need way more than $1,000 for everybody. $2,000, I say, is a fair figure to start tossing around for every American, every single American, and every immigrant, everybody, legal, going through the legal process, undocumented. We're all at risk. They're all part of our economy. Immigration actually helps build economy. When they took immigration out of Russia, it caused them many problems. When we kicked out all of the migrant workers, farmers were begging for them to come back, so they were losing their businesses left and right, and then more giant corporations took over our food industry. Look into it. Now, that's true. In recent years, about 10, 15 years ago, or about, I want to say more like, I guess I was during the Obama administration, probably somewhere they tried doing it, or maybe the Bush administration. Yeah, the Bush administration, they tried doing that. They might have tried to do it again in the Obama administration, I forget, but definitely during the George W. Bush administration, actually, the election was stolen for George W. Bush, but he was technically elected in 2000, 2004. Both elections were stolen. That's proof. That's undisputable fact. George W. Bush and his administration pushed a lot of asinine policies and, created the war crimes of the Iraq War. And Afghanistan wars, and Guantanamo Bay and beyond, all around the world. So anyway, you're saying that Trump is saying that, but Trump is saying he's a wartime president. You're saying you got to watch out, and Barber's right, Reverend Barber's right. Every word that he says translates to regressive policy. He's right, to regressive policy and or policies. That's what Trump's words end up turning into be. And he said Corona isn't the only virus. And that, we need to extrapolate and use, this is important, we need to extrapolate and use terms to describe our many crises and viruses, social, economic, and environmental crises. It's a virus of greed, a virus, of inequality, a virus of environmental devastation, ecological devastation. It's just viruses everywhere. Virus in our healthcare system. We have a virus that is capitalism. And what we must fight for, we need to fight in solidarity. We need to fight in solidarity with the sick. And he's saying, like, what would you do? This is very important. I hope people are listening this far or fast forward to certain parts that they prefer to hear my analysis and stuff, whatever. I just really hope people hear this. That you should live your life as if death was imminent, to respect and to honor the people that are going to die and the people, increasing numbers of people that are going to suffer and die from this virus. You need to live your life like every day was your last and fight for what is right, for what we need and what we should have already had. It's a very powerful statement. He's saying we need to organize. So you go on moveon.org/poverty, and that lists out the demands of the Poor People's Campaign to address the coronavirus and COVID-19. Saying call politicians at all levels of government. Local politicians, state politicians. Call your governor. The state can do stuff. The county can do stuff. Your town can do stuff that the federal government is not doing or is taking a long time to do. And can put pressure and can take local control and bring back community. Through even using the internet if you can't get close to people. And eventually we'll be able to. We're going to figure this out. We're going to come through this, and we're going to be a way better nation and a way better world. And we're going to save the planet, and we're going to do the Green New Deal, and we're going to do everything we need to do to make sure we all survive, and our kids, and even if you don't have kids, future generations, that they all have a chance, the beautiful chance we had to live on this amazing planet. And let's give people dignity so they don't die in vain and didn't live their whole life in poverty and misery and stress and die young, and just so many people that cared about them had to watch them suffer. Or even worse, they had no family or friends because nobody cared about them, and they were in so much agony, and they weren't getting the psychological help they need, the health they need, the jobs they need, the education they need, the health care they need to keep them productive members of society so they can contribute back. Anyway, so local governments can help set up things like, county, state officials can, governors, and this is a virus of greed and evil. The rules have changed. And we need to care for the most vulnerable. And if you're lucky enough to work from home, this is a great little thing the Reverend ended on, all this stuff. If you're lucky enough to work from home, remember those that are risking death to pay rent or staying home and having no money. If you have a place to stay and you're self-quarantining, remember all the people that don't have a place to stay and can't self-quarantine. They're homeless. People that live outside the margins. Remember the homeless. Choose love. Choose trust. Resist injustice. Work with your neighbors. Call your governors. Call everybody. We need stimulus at all levels of government. Money and healthcare for all now. I think I went and recapped a lot of what they had to say. It's very late. It's already 3:56 in the morning. I've been working on this since before. I've had a lot of technical problems. They're putting restrictions on social media sites and stuff, so we need to stay vigilant. I'm going to sign off for tonight. I'm going to bring you a video of Trump's response, which by the time you see this is going to be yesterday, which would be March 19th, 2020. As this was also yesterday. But a lot of people using the internet, there's slower data speeds, a lot of things that should have been very quick were taking forever and failing. So I'm going to get you as much content as I can. If I can get some patrons, go to patreon.com/punkrockpolitics, and please become a member. Please become a $1 member a month. You get so many perks. And you can cancel it if you want. It doesn't charge you till the first of the month. $2.70 is a burner. $7 is a true progressive. $10 is an activist, and $27 is a revolutionary. You should see the things I'm doing that nobody else is doing on these channels. I desperately need your help so I can afford to keep Punk Rock Politics up and running, and not just afford to keep it up and running. Because I'm having issues and need to get more expensive apps. I mean, make it way better, where I have the articles popping up on the screen. Where I can edit videos easily, where I can share once and it goes to all of my social media accounts. That's not how it works. It could take you up to 5, 10, 20 minutes with a slow connection or everybody using data just to share one video 5 times on 5 different media accounts. And now in that time, you're not making videos. You're not making more content for people. So I'm trying to give you a full 360 conversation from everybody's perspective. From Bernie Sanders, from Donald Trump is coming. I'm going to make the video of his whole response and give a nice lengthy analysis. I'm giving you the information, and I'm putting it out there and giving you alternative independent media. Please comment. If you like the videos, share all over social media, please. Tell your friends and family about it. Have a debate, comment, and please become a patron. Really need those patrons. I need so much more space, so much more data, and I need to fight for democracy and get the information out there. And we need to get through this crisis and pull through it. And we're going to pull through it together. So thanks for watching Punk Rock Politics. Please stay safe. Keep practice social distancing. Stay 6 feet away from people. 6 feet away from people. Even when you're in stores, stay 6 feet away. Except when you have to pay the cashier, try to still stay very far away, or throw the money on the. Don't throw it at them or anything. But place it on the counter and stay lean back and stay some distance. We need. This is pet. This is very dangerous. So please, everybody, be safe. Keep your vulnerable family and friends safe. Communicate with them. Show them you care. And try to keep even social distancing with your own friends and family, because we don't know if we're carrying the disease. Get tested if you can. We need to make sure that people know that if they get tested, that they don't have to pay for treatment. That they have medical care. Anybody that wants to get tested. Every single person that's inside of these borders needs to be able to get tested and taken care of in every way. So thanks. Take care. Be safe.